In Donald Trump's election interference case said it is futile to set a trial date since the issue of presidential immunity will likely continue to play out in the courts. At a hearing today, Donald Trump's legal team entering a not guilty plea. Judge Tanya Chutkin heard from both sides about how the case should proceed. Here to discuss further is George Washington University professor Paul Berman. It's good to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So this was the first hearing since special counsel Jack Smith revised his indictment after the Supreme Court ruled to extend some presidential immunity to Trump. And I'm curious here, what were some of the important changes that our viewers should know about?
Well, the Supreme Court granted very broad immunity to the president, but not absolute immunity. So the question is, are there acts that are not official presidential acts that the former president can still be prosecuted for? And the government is going to make the argument that most of Trump's acts having to do with election interference and trying to block the certification of the election were taken in his capacity as a candidate, not in his capacity as president, because as president, he has no official role in the counting of votes or the certifying of elections. So the question is, can we separate the official acts from the non-official acts and still move forward with the prosecution? Or, as Trump's lawyers are arguing, is the entire prosecution now not available because of the immunity decision?
Now, also today, we saw the judge decide not to set a trial date. And, you know, that was one of the main takeaways from what happened today. In terms of a legal timeline here, what do you make of the path forward?
Well, I think it's going to take at least a number of weeks for Judge Chutkin to issue a decision about how to move forward and whether there are acts that are not official that can still go forward. And then as soon as she reaches that decision, assuming there are any charges that she thinks can go forward, Trump's team will certainly appeal that both to the D.C. Circuit and probably to the U.S. Supreme Court. So that will further delay the proceedings. So that's why she said there's no point in setting a trial date, because there will be ongoing litigation about the immunity decision, and that will likely take many months, if not a whole year.
When I was out reporting on
so,
this,
you know, there's no real point in setting a trial date for that reason.
When I was out reporting on this in front of the Supreme Court, that was one of the main questions, is how would it impact the election? And not setting a trial date could really mean this case is heard well after the election. You touched on the appeal process. So what do you make of all that and the impact it could have, if any, on the election?
Well, in terms of the election, one thing that could happen is that the government lawyers have said that they are able within the next 3 weeks or so to file a brief demonstrating or attempting to demonstrate why Trump's actions were not official. And that brief could contain material in it that might be relevant to people's thinking about the election, and that would come out before the election. But it's very clear there will not be a trial before this election. And so to that degree, Trump's legal team has been successful with the Supreme Court's help of delaying this case beyond the November election date.
It would certainly appear that way. George Washington University professor Paul Berman, certainly appreciate your time and your expertise tonight. Thank you.